Mary, I wanted to show you one of my favorite sun-loving annuals, and that is Amazon Neon Purple Dianthus. I just love the vividness of that color.
Do you have specific color combinations that you like to use?
Well, in a way, I just like a lot of vivid color and yes, contrasting colors like this. For whatever reason, this year I ended up with a lot of purples and yellows and pinks and yellows together.
Do you plant the same plants each year in each bed?
For the annuals, definitely not. We try to just use whatever inspires us and whatever we have left in the greenhouse.
Do you use or grow specific plants for the beds, or do you use leftover plants from this greenhouse?
That's a great question. In almost all cases, we use the leftovers. I find when I'm cooking, it always turns out best if I use what I have in the kitchen already. And as a nursery greenhouse, we have plants left over and we often pick from those. However, this one right here is one of the few plants that I love so much that we have a special seeding of Amazon Neon Purple Dianthus for Joe, or for the gardens.
Well, I've had some dianthus sometimes overwinter. Do these ever overwinter?
That's a great question, and this one actually does not. It is a true annual. And people are confused by that because it looks like garden phlox. And in fact, there's a garden phlox called ultraviolet garden phlox that is the exact color and blossom form, and that is a perennial. But no, this one does not come back.
This is beautiful, but can we see another one of your display beds?
I want to show you the hay rack bed where we can talk about whopper begonias, another one of our favorites. Mary, this bed of whopper begonias has far exceeded my expectations, and I wanted to use it to tell you about these fantastic plants. Whopper begonias, I think of them as fibrous begonias, those little mounds of color on steroids. The biggest mistake I've made with them is putting them in the front row of a bed and thinking that they will be the shorter plant. And no, by the end of the summer, they are huge. People ask me, is this bed mounded up in there? And it is a little bit, but not more than about a foot. So these are pushing 3 feet tall. That hay rack planter bed, we carefully constructed a planter in there with putting wood, and those petroas are planted in that planter. But these whopper begonias have just taken over.
Do they normally get this big?
They can get at least 2 feet tall. And another thing I wanted to mention, begonias, you think of that as a shade plant, right? Whopper begonias, we love them in full sun. But I will tell you, for a few weeks after you plant them, they really look like they're not happy, like they're getting too much sun, leaves burn a little bit. And what we found is that once they grow enough to touch each other, and it's kind of important to plant them fairly close together for that reason, once the plants touch each other, it's almost like they start to shade each other, and then they are just completely fine and rock solid for the rest of the summer. I would put whopper begonias at about a 10 to 12 inch spacing.
Well, they're fabulous. Do they bloom all summer?
All summer long.
How do you fertilize here in the beds?
We mostly just fertilize at planting using a water-soluble fertilizer. Once in a while, I'll sprinkle a little ammonium sulfate in a bed here or there, but I don't think I did that with this one.
Do you use special soil when you're doing your beds?
We like to mix in a lot of Minnesota bog peat in our annual beds. Plants seem to love that. It is peat from swamplands in Minnesota.
This is absolutely fabulous. But I need to ask, do you have any trouble with critters?
A little bit. Yes, we've got deer, we've got rabbits, and for the deer, I spray liquid fence. I mix up a 3-gallon backpack sprayer. I drive around in the golf cart and cover everything with that sprayer, including my vegetable gardens. With the rabbits, that helps a little bit for the rabbits too. I have a little pet trick for the rabbits, and my theory is that the fact that we don't spray our lawn for dandelions really gives them something else to eat besides my flowers. I really get a kick out of seeing a little bunny rabbit hop out of my flower bed and start munching on a dandelion in the lawn. Mary, I wanted to show you how not only begonias can take a surprising amount of sun, but the other shade plants, impatiens and coleus, we have them planted out here in full sun as well. Now, part of it is that there are certain varieties of impatiens and coleus that can handle more sun. When you're shopping for impatiens and coleus, the ones that are sold in the 4-packs, they need to be in the shade. But the more expensive ones often can handle more sun. They're special varieties. With the impatiens, there's a brand name called Sun Patience. That's kind of the Kleenex of sun-tolerant impatiens because it's so easy to just say Sun Patience. However, it's not the only series. We also have one called Solarscape impatiens that we actually grow from seed, just as good as the Sun Patience. And we've used a lot of those out here in full sun, and it's just one of our favorite plants for color. And behind it there is a coleus. That's one of the coleus called wasabi that does just fine in full sun.
A lot of times the coleus will be blooming and you're supposed to deadhead. I don't see any blooms on there.
They've been breeding them. So these sun-tolerant coleus, coleus will bloom in response to getting too much sun, especially if they're the ones that we start from seed in the 4-packs, but they've been breeding them to be less likely to do that. You still see some blooms, but not nearly as many.
I even see petunias out here.
This is the first year I tried mixing petunias and sun-tolerant impatiens, just for fun, and it worked pretty well.
This bed is absolutely beautiful. If people come to visit, do you have a map of what's growing where?
Yes, every bed has a number, and we have a garden guide available. Even if we're not open, people can visit anytime, pick up a garden guide in the front office, and search for the number signs, and it will kind of tell you what plants are in that bed and a little bit about them.
How late do you stay open?
We don't have an official closing date. So after Labor Day weekend, we're not officially open, but usually Monday through Saturday we're here. People can come and visit the gardens at any time.
Do you offer tours or open houses too?
Every year we have our big open house event in August where we have food and music and things like that. But I encourage people to visit the gardens anytime they want because it's more peaceful on another day.
How can people find information about Bergeson Nursery?
I have to say the best source of information is our Facebook page. We post a lot on there, and it's also really easy to contact me there. However, if you're not on Facebook, you can sign up for our spring catalog, which is free. Send us an email, visit our website, anything like that.